Male cheerleaders acting like women. Why we should not accept this as the norm and what it really reveals about where we are as a culture.
Welcome to No Apology with Emilee and Chris. It's a variety talk show designed to have you laugh louder, dig deeper, and live larger in the Lord Jesus Christ. By long-form variety talk show means we can talk about anything we want, and we usually do. And for you to really get in and appreciate this show, you've got to just want to come along for the conversation and go where the conversation goes. And every week is a little bit different, and we're actually going to try today. We're going to try to do a good show. So.
We do every day
Do we
or
really?
every show. Sometimes we fail miserably.
Yeah. Why did we both wear light colored? I've got what's called a salmon color shirt, and you've got like a.
Mine's just pink.
Is
Basic.
it just straight up pink?
Pink. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at the monitor. It doesn't look right.
It doesn't look right now. Thank you. That's going to bother
For you
me
audio
for the rest of
listeners,
the show.
God bless you. You're doing better than the video listeners. That's
We
another
need
thing
to.
I always like to say at the top of the show. We are not a YouTube channel. You might be watching on YouTube or Rumble. We are a podcast. We're a broadcast outreach. We want to share the love of Jesus Christ without apology. And we want to do it with truth and with fun and with laughter and with joy of knowing that we are going to be presented in front of a holy God someday as if we're perfect and we've never sinned because of the substitutionary death of Jesus Christ.
Does that mean we'll be
That
colored?
drives what we're going to talk about on whether it's cooking, whether it's motorcycles, whether it's male cheerleaders, or wherever we decide to go. That's what it's about. What were you saying?
I was going to say, does that mean we'll be color coordinated by default?
I'm never wearing this shirt ever again.
Yeah. Where's our wardrobe, people?
Look, I need summer to end so I can get back to hoodie. Oh, hoodie, where art thou? Oh, hoodie.
I want to wear a sweater so bad. I just can't hardly even stand it.
All right. Emilee
All
told you at the
right.
top of the broadcast about male cheerleaders, and it is Hamster rant today. And so let's hit it. Emilee, where are you going?
If you haven't seen the news, the Minnesota Vikings, they have now introduced the first male cheerleaders to their cheerleader team. Now, they aren't actually the very first biological males to cheer in the NFL because the Carolina Panthers, they had a trans cheerleader, Justine Lindsay, that came on the scene in 2022. Justine is moving on now, is not on the roster this year, but the Minnesota Vikings, they have brought two people, Blaze Cheek and Louis Kahn, onto the NFL cheering team. Now, there's been a lot of outrage. Why is there outrage? I mean,
Oh, pick me.
Chris, would you like to move to the head of the class?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sure. The outrage comes from these men not being male cheerleaders, but men who are trying to act like females.
There you go.
Shaking their rumps and having pom-poms was never a male cheerleader thing.
Yeah.
That's where the disturbance in the force is found.
No, we have a picture of him. I think you threw it up
I
there
did.
earlier, and I can't even tell. I mean, it almost looks like they shaved their legs. Maybe they don't. I can neither confirm or deny that fact, but you are absolutely right, Chris, when you say that these aren't men cheerleaders. That's not the problem. The problem is they are men that are acting like women and completely wanting to fill that role. So people have been outraged by it. There's been a lot of backlash. It appears like the Vikings are going to stay with what they're doing here. Several people have actually turned in their season tickets. Like, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. And of course, I know, Chris, there will probably be 100 people in line ready to just snatch those tickets
It
up.
would be easier for me if this was the Packers,
What do you
know,
mean?
or
Why?
another team that I
Well,
didn't
if it
care
wasn't
about.
your,
Yeah.
if it wasn't your Vikings.
Yeah, if it wasn't my Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I'm a former Vikings season ticket holder, and I ask myself, would I turn in my tickets if I was still in that spot in life where we could afford and could go and be part of the we had season tickets at the Vikings for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
We chose to go different with our money as our kids were getting older, and it was kind of a fun season. But would I object? The kneeling at the national anthem, just the whole woke NFL culture, very disappointing.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, there's a lot of Christians in the NFL, including our friend Kirk Cousins
Yeah.
and others who want to make a difference. They want to shine a light. There's and football is football. This is a just sideshow distraction trying to show how inclusive they are. And now people are talking about it's taking jobs away from women. Well, when the new female referees that are now calling stuff in, we have female referees in the NFL now too.
Yeah,
Side
I'm fine
judges
with
and
that.
stuff like that.
I don't mind
Are they
that.
taking jobs away from men?
I think that women are actually going to be better at it. They're really good at pointing out where men make mistakes. I think it's going to be a huge success.
There's two of them, and one of them I've watched her career because I was just curious.
Yeah.
She was on Monday Night Football one time,
Okay.
and other times she's good.
Okay.
I think she's
Yeah, you
good at
have
what
to
she
be.
does. She's good at what she does.
have
And
to
so
be.
I don't have a problem with that. But the argument of these guys are taking opportunities from women, it's like, no, a cheerleading squad can easily go from 25 to 30 and nobody cares. They've added them on to stuff it up in our face to try to feminize males to make that somewhat normal in everyday culture.
Well,
and the fact that it's the NFL is a big, big deal. And I'll say this, and we'll get back to the Gramster rant full on.
Okay.
But the NFL had last year the top 100 broadcast programs for the calendar year. 96 of the top 100 were NFL football games. And
Right.
the NFL is what our conscience can go to because everybody goes to it. Most people will watch part of an NFL game almost every weekend.
Well, absolutely.
Anyway,
I totally disagree with you with as far as taking jobs from women, because each NFL team has a budget. This is how much we're going to spend on what things they're spending it on. And so there is a budget for the cheerleaders' salaries. And definitely, if they're going to bring 2 more on, it should have gone to women. And it's not just about the position on the team, because let's face it, the cheerleaders, the NFL cheerleaders don't make very much money. They only make, if I'm correct here, between like $15 and $20 an hour. That's not the point. The point is what that then leads to, because you're high exposure, you're paid by the NFL, and that opens up tremendous opportunity for these women. Oftentimes it's in acting or modeling. Many of them move on into, pageant work where there's a lot of scholarships that can turn into high profile positions and pretty lucrative jobs.
Who was the one of the judges between Simon Cowell and Randy Jackson on American Idol when it first got
I have no idea.
going?
Paula Abdul?
Yeah, she was a Raiderette or a Laker girl or whatever. Yeah.
There you go.
And let me just clarify before we get in, we get some angry emails. I'm not saying they're not taking jobs away from women. I just think that's a lame argument. That's like having a fire and having a fire hose of we're trying to change culture, and then somebody comes with a Dixie cup of water saying, I'm adding to putting out the fire.
Yeah.
Yes, you're adding to the argument, but this is not
there are bigger things going on, and we're going to get to that in just a second.
Steak on the plate. It's not the potato on the plate. It's barely the side salad of the meal. That they're taking jobs away from women. The real story is
much bigger than that. But for me personally, as a woman, I hate saying that because people do that. As a woman, what I see when I look at that, it's like, oh, thank goodness, now we have men to show us what cheering really should look like. I mean, it's just offensive on so many levels.
Where's the liberal coming and saying these two are going to mansplain to the ladies how it's supposed to go?
Exactly.
Because you look at them and they can't mansplain anything.
It is a total visual mansplaining. Exactly. Now, I read a really good book when I was in high school. It was required reading, getting to some of these topics that are, like you said, Chris, the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Okay. There's something bigger going on here. And this book that I read, one of the things that was going on was how they were making culture androgynous. Just erasing the differences between male and female.
Define androgynous.
Androgynous, androgynous is like, it's not male or female. It's unisex kind of.
Oh, okay.
And it was,
I again, sorry for not knowing that word. I feel stupid. What's the meaning of is?
I didn't even know for a second if I was saying it right. Androgynous. That's the word. Okay, so
and that means
erasing the differences between men and women.
Erasing
they dress the same, they work the
differences.
same, they act the same, they do everything the
It's
same.
like homogenizing an issue.
Correct. And so the whole point of doing that was to tear down romantic relationships, to tear down the family unit, to tear down the structure of culture itself. And that book really spelled out how, if done successfully, what it leads to in that book. You've probably read it yourself, 1984 by George Orwell. That's exactly what they did. Blurred the lines between male and female where you really couldn't tell the difference anyway. So, big picture here, the feminization of men. It's a big thing. You make them weak. You make them impotent. And let me just give you a brief example of how that is. Like we said earlier, male cheerleaders have been part of football for many, many decades. This is different than that. And there's kind of a compare and contrast. We showed you the pictures of the men acting like women, but through the traditional men in cheerleading were still men. You know, they played as the base, holding up these beautiful women and doing these great pyramids and stunts and stuff. They were the muscle behind the cheerleading team. They were also oftentimes the one holding the megaphone, because by their nature, their voice is more booming and loud and overpowering. And it was a great sound to get the crowd cheering. And so they played a male role.
Yeah,
This
there's
is
nothing
very
wrong with
different.
having male cheerleaders. George W.
Exactly.
Bush was a male cheerleader.
Right.
But the where am I going here?
So this is the
The
feminization
male
of men.
cheerleader is that.
Yeah.
If it's on the screen on YouTube and Rumble. And
Strong.
audio listeners, we're showing pictures
Manly.
of men holding women above their head
Muscles all over the place.
as their versus this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd never seen a male cheerleader like in the picture on the screen right now that would have pom-poms.
Exactly.
You know, in fact, what I'm used to for a mascot is Ragnar on a motorcycle.
Exactly. That's what's so disappointing when it comes to
For the
Minnesota Vikings, because they had Ragnar, and he was this man, a real man, dressed up as a Viking, kind of scary looking actually. And he would come out on his motorcycle, and he'd lead the team, and it was all so fun. And I mean, Minnesotans loved this guy. And this guy asked for a little bit of money, and the Vikings said, nah, go away. And so he's done. He's out. They've replaced this warrior looking dude with, ta-da, these two very feminine looking cheerleaders who are still male. So there is definitely a desire. There's definitely an agenda there to feminize men. Now, this is a dangerous thing. If you look to Jordan Peterson, I think it's Jordan Peterson, he had the very famous quote that if you think tough men are dangerous, wait till you see what weak men are capable of.
We've watched the deterioration of our society, and not only ours, but European Union societies and others, because of weak leaders.
Exactly.
And whether it's men or women, weak leadership is awful.
Yeah.
And come on, 2020 to 2024, did you not see something different from what we had ever had before in our culture?
Yeah.
And it's not about Democrat, Republican and politics. It's about leadership.
Yeah.
It's about understanding human rights. It's about caring for people. It's about doing right things in leadership positions, not just government, but all over the place, including churches and broadcast companies and media outlets and other things. But I always just, again, you audio listener onlys who are listening on Spotify or Apple iTunes or wherever, sorry about this, but here's a visual. We got Ragnar riding right at us.
Yeah.
Who is he riding at? Could it be these guys?
I miss that guy. I miss that old guy.
Anyway.
Get on the fields. But anyway, here's the thing. As bad as things are going in the United States, because people are truly outraged over this, people are moving. Hopefully this doesn't get accepted as the norm. You have to realize that there's other places in the world where, this is going on everywhere, but there's other places in the world where those regions, those countries are actually further down the flush than even the United States. I'm going to give you an
And
example.
I believe that we got there because of apathy. And before you transition, I think you're going to the UK.
Yeah.
Based on the show prep you've handed me.
Yep.
Before we go to the UK,
Yeah.
I just want to share with you, this is a poll of readers of The Flyover. The Flyover is a neutral publication that just tries to give the facts. And it skews a little bit older, okay? It skews a little bit older as far as the demographic of readers, and I'm one. It comes to my email inbox every day. And it's
a geezer email.
Well, they have daily quotes. They have it's just a really well done. I only have time for one. This is the one I chose, The Flyover. But how do you feel about the NFL allowing male cheerleaders? And this really is going to speak volumes. Here's the results from that poll. I'm going to say probably 500 to 1,000 people vote in this every day.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good sample.
It's a poll that The Flyover conducted.
They conduct one every day.
Okay.
Every day there's a poll. Like, what's your favorite chocolate or whatever. And so it's different every day. And I'm against it, 43%.
Okay.
I don't care, 43%. Fine with me, 14%.
Okay.
So you have it split between those who don't care and those who really don't like it and care. And then you've got 14% that are fine with it. Guess what? That means that the majority of people are going to be okay with it.
Right.
And then the minority of the people that's how we got to where we are. It's apathy. And the question is posed wrong. I don't have a problem with male cheerleaders.
Right.
I have a problem with male cheerleaders who are designed to be as gay as possible to make them into female replacements, doing the same
posing
moves
as women.
Yeah, doing the same women moves, doing the same thing with pom-poms. That I am against. And the apathy is what has led Britain and other places to be where they are now.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that 40 whatever percent that said I don't care, I kind of empathize with them as well, because when you're looking at your day-to-day life, what impacts me, like, I don't have time for this. You know what I mean? And so they just, I think it is a form of rejection. I think I don't care is a form of rejection, more so than it is a form of acceptance.
I agree.
That's just my opinion.
What's going on in the UK?
So in the UK, there was a shop owner who posted a sign in his window, and the police were not too happy, told him to take it down. Now, we've got a picture of that sign. Do you have a picture of the sign?
No, not the. You have to look really close at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, well,
that is the sign. That's the big offensive sign she's about to tell you about.
I'll read it. It says, "Due to scumbags shoplifting, please ask for assistance to open the cabinets. Thank you." That's the sign that was posted in the shop window.
And now, for those of you watching, rather than just straight up listening, there's a picture of the shop owner himself.
Yeah. And I'm going to get to him in just a second.
All right.
But so this sign was posted, and at first I thought, oh, somebody must have complained and called the police. That's not the case. No one complained. In fact, the manager of the store, the guy that runs the store, Rob Davies, he said that several people came in and thought it was kind of funny and laughed, gave it a little chuckle. Actually, what happened was a policeman was walking by, saw it, and thought it was his authority, and actually in the UK now it kind of is, to walk in and demand that the shopkeeper take it down. Now, when you think about a shopkeeper who is going to say something like this and is going to refuse the police telling them to take it down, you kind of maybe have an image of what that person looks like. But Chris, you already showed us a picture, and he looks like something you might not expect. This guy is really kind of a hippie. He's got long hair. The shop that he runs is called Run Ragged, and it's actually, I think, like a secondhand store that sells vintage items. And so this is what he does for a living now, but there's more to Mr. Davies than what you might expect.
Yeah.
Mr. Davies is actually a weapons expert, and he's even supervised fight scenes on several movies, including Braveheart and Gladiator. So this guy kind of knows his stuff. He's not a goofy doofus. You know what I mean? So true to Braveheart form, he indeed refused the police officer. I'm not taking the sign down. The police officer even said, well, you need to rewrite it, rephrase it. And he said, no, the sign was written, the words were put down, and it comes, quote, straight from the heart and is honest. Why is it straight? Why is it straight from the heart? Because Davis was saying that he's lost nearly 300 pounds in a year.
That's currency, by the way, not fatness.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Quid? Should I say quid?
Let's see my conversion rate from our last trip to England. He's lost almost $490 American dollars.
Yeah, that's less. Like
in a little shop. In a little shop.
More. And that's only due to shoplifting. That's it. And I know every retail store builds loss into their budget, but that is a lot, and it does make a big difference. So there was one occasion where somebody was shoplifting something, and Mr. Davies caught him, chased him down, called the police. The police came and just said, here's your thing back, and let the guy go. So the police weren't even doing what they were supposed to do to help protect his property and his store. So Mr. Davies finally asked the police officer, okay, you don't like the sign. The police officer said that it would offend some people. So Davies asked him, what people do you think this is going to offend? And the police officer didn't say anything. He didn't have a response because he knew, the Davies knew, that the only people that it's going to offend are people who are shoplifters, and he doesn't want them.
I thought you were going to say shapeshifters.
Shapeshifters. So he doesn't want them in there anyway. Right. So this whole thing, these two stories actually tie together, believe it or not.
I can imagine there would be a lot of Brits that would have laughed at the sign, and that there'd be others that are offended, because there always is. The problem with Britain right now is if you say anything offensive, especially to Muslims. The UK is now a Muslim nation, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
They are now a conquered nation, and any of the people in parliament are nothing but pawns to the Muslim establishment. And they are arresting people for anti-Muslim tweets and putting them in jail.
Yeah.
And it's not like they keep them in jail for a day or two. They're there for months.
Right.
Months and months. And
meanwhile, there's some horrendous crime going on that if it's a Muslim that committed they turn a blind eye. So it's very violent.
It's part of the last days, and it's also part of the satanic movement that's happening across the world.
Yeah.
The UK is sucked up in it.
Yeah. So what do these two male cheerleaders who are posing as women, even though they do acknowledge that they are men, and this cop have in common, this police officers? Well, it reminds me of Romans chapter 2, verses 28 through 29. Chris, you want to read that for him?
A man is not a Jew if he is only one outwardly, nor is circumcision merely outward and physical. No, a man is a Jew if he is one inwardly, and circumcision is circumcision of the heart by the Spirit, not by the written code. Such a man's praise is not from men, but from God.
Yeah, in Paul's day, there were many Jewish people born into the Jewish race. They were circumcised on the 8th day. The list goes on, but Paul makes very clear that these are not true Jews. Why? Because there was nothing inwardly in these people that complemented or was the same as what was going on outward. It was two different things. So feeling like you're a Jew or acting like a Jew didn't make you a true Jew just by doing these outward things that man had imposed on them. So when we turn to Isaiah 29:13, it goes to say that these people come near me. This is the Lord speaking. These people come near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips. In other words, they say a whole lot of things. They profess a lot of things, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship of me is made up only of rules taught by men. So these male and trans cheerleaders, they are only outwardly women. They do not have the heart of women. Same with the police officer. he wears the uniform, he walks the streets, he wields some sort of authority, but what's going on inside him was not to serve and protect the people of his community. And so outwardly he might look like a policeman, but he wasn't a true policeman. Outwardly, these men might resemble women in some ways, but they are not truly women. And science even confirms this. I have some information. I don't know if you've ever known this, Chris, but when women and men perform some of the same tasks, they're actually using different parts of their brain. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, like men use reason and women use complaining. Isn't that the finding?
No,
No?
they're talking about literal tasks that they do, because they can scan the brain now and they can see
I know.
different sections light up. And when men go to do a specific task, a certain part of the brain lights up. When women go and do that exact same task, a different part of the brain lights up. We are not the same. Women have smaller brains than men. Probably not too surprising because stature and height and everything, we are smaller. But men, as they age, their brains begin to shrink faster than women's, which
Really?
kind of, yeah, that's exactly what happens.
Oh,
And
no.
I don't think it necessarily makes a difference on their intellect or their ability or anything. They're just looking physically at the
That's what's
size
happening.
of the brain.
That's what's happening. I'm wondering if I'm getting dumber and dumber every day. And it's that my brain is shrinking. Look, I think I'm 4 years away from not being able to do basic math. I think that's where I'm headed.
I think you got 5. You're
Okay,
safe.
maybe 6 years.
Yeah. Men and women, Chris, you know this, respond very differently to different sounds and different pitches.
Yeah.
That's why a man, Chris, I remember our grandkids would be at our house and one of them would be crying on the floor. And you knew that nothing was wrong. They were just crying. And you were able to just kind of whatever. And finally, I'm like, can somebody please pick up that child? Because I was in the other room working and it was bothering me so bad. Men and women hear sounds and respond
So
to
what you're
sounds
saying is
very,
there's
very differently.
situations where a man is just relaxed and a woman is all worked up.
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
there's
Never heard
situations
of that before.
There's situations where
That's shocking.
a man cannot do a woman's job.
That's one way to put it.
So aside from chromosomes and our DNA, our hormones and stuff like that, which we all know are different, men and women actually have a gender-specific bone, and that is their pelvic bone. They're designed completely different to do different things. We also respond to stress and tolerate pain very, very differently.
Well, there was a study, and you have this in your show prep, you
Yes.
skipped it, but if a ball is found along the side of the road, men are
Yep.
more likely to kick it or hit it. Women are more likely to pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
Women are
means,
gatherers,
but-
men are hunters, women are from Venus, men are from Mars.
Yeah.
I mean, there's differences. The
Yeah.
defining work of our modern culture era comes from 2008, and it's a YouTube you can look up right now.
Yeah.
And it's Mark Gungor, and it's called Two Brains.
Mm-hmm.
Two Brains, Mark Gungor. That was filmed in Phoenix, Arizona, when we were the morning show there, and Mark became a friend of ours. And I have never met anybody that I think can teach about the two brains between men and women better than Mark Gungor's
It's
presentation.
very good.
That's
yeah.
free on YouTube. You can watch it. It's a couple-hour presentation, and he mixes in humor. And I mean, if you want to just see a masterful presentation with deep insights and information about how men and women's brains function differently in a relationship concept, you need to look that up on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's Mark Gungor's The Two Brains.
Yeah. And it might help you just understand your spouse a little bit better. And that's always a good thing. So just like the policemen and just like the women and just like when Paul was talking about the Jews, what's on the outside is not what determines what you are. And so it's that inward thing that's going on when it comes to our walk with Christ as well. There's going to be many that profess to be Christians. There's going to be many who say, Lord, Lord. But it's what's going on the inside that makes all the difference. And that's my Gramster rant for the day.
And we are so grateful that you've chosen this talk show to spend some time with. Again, it's No Apology with Emilee and Chris, where we laugh louder, dig deeper, and live larger in the Lord Jesus Christ. And Garry Koon, Pastor Garry Koon, is standing by in the green room. We're going to have him up next. So keep it right here. Here's a message from our general manager, Larry Hopp.
If you're like me and you see God moving, you want to come alongside and join in the work of the Lord. I'm seeing Jesus change lives through the preaching of Salvaged by God and the joy of the Lord in the talk show, No Apology with Emilee and Chris. All of this being generated from the nonprofit Fresh Road Media. We'd love it if you'd consider joining us and supporting this amazing outreach. You can even join our tribe for free. If you subscribe really at any level, we have some wonderful resources as a way of saying thank you. Go to freshroadmedia.com and be part of something new and really, quite frankly, something that we so need in today's world. And welcome to our tribe.
You're listening to No Apology with Emilee and Chris. We are laughing louder, digging deeper, and living larger in the Lord Jesus Christ, as always. And we're so glad that you are with us.
And we have a special guest joining us today. It is our friend Garry Koon from Michigan. Garry, welcome.
Hey, nice to see you guys again.
Yeah. And we thought, instead of talking about marriage, which we might in a few minutes, instead of talking about, being a pastor, because you were a pastor for 40 years. And for those of you who don't know, Garry was my pastor. And when we started taking people to Bible lands, we eventually got Garry on board, and we've gone to Israel a couple times. And so I know some of the people who listen to the show or watch the show, they know you from our Israel trips. And
Yep.
so just glad you're here. And so Garry's come along to just play News and Views. News and Views is where we just come up with some news stories, and we talk about it, and I don't know if it'll be funny or not. I mean, we used to call it News to Amuse,
Yeah.
and we knew that it was going to be funny. And now we don't know if we're going to be funny anymore.
So it's headlines, and we're going to react. We're going to respond.
Are you feeling funny, Garry?
I feel funny, but it might just be gas. I don't know. I'm not sure.
All right, here's the first story. A tractor trailer carrying 40,000 pounds of ribeye steaks caught fire Monday on the I-44 in Phillips County, Missouri, forcing a temporary highway closure and resulting in total loss of the meat. Firefighters put out the blaze, which is, jokingly, some locals are calling it the best smelling fire they've ever seen.
Ever smelled, you mean?
It says seen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the best smelling fire that they've ever witnessed would be
Okay.
probably the better way to do it.
Okay, very good.
All right, what do you think of when you think of that, Garry?
I think that it's just a terrible waste of steak. I mean, if I were there, I'd have been hauling out paper plates or something because ribeyes. Wow, I can't even afford ribeyes.
I know.
I didn't know that they hauled just like ribeyes specifically in a truck. Like you would think there'd be like lots of meat in it. And wouldn't it be a refrigerated truck?
It would have to be.
How would a
Yeah.
refrigerated truck burn?
Well, it catches on fire.
Yeah.
And here's
Wow, Chris, that's
you know,
deep, man.
the electric refrigeration unit could have sparked and caught the
Yep.
the bed on fire.
That's true.
Here's the thing: the reason you wouldn't go in with a paper plate, because that smoke and that meat has got all kinds of toxins in it.
Sure.
I mean, let me ask you: would you put like a metal machinery that's on fire? Would you roast a hot dog over it?
Depends on how long the skewer was.
And it's in fact a ribeye.
Yeah.
No, but for whatever reason, Garry, you touched on it. When I first read this story, I thought to myself, "Oh no, ribeyes." I mean, if it was chicken,
Like
not a
they
big
were
thing.
puppies at the back
If
of
it
the
was
truck.
hamburger, even top sirloin, it wouldn't have been as bad. It's
If I'd have been there,
ribeyes.
I'd have held a funeral service. I would have had to do something. That's quite a loss.
Hey,
It's actually very sad, really.
one of the things that we have done for years, and we try, I want to say once a month, but we don't get to it once a month. But we would try to buy the 4 ribeyes at Costco. And for years, the price inched up to where those 4 ribeyes were like $44. That was a big ass to buy those four ribeyes. Biden gets into office and immediately goes to 50. And now, just, I don't know, a couple months ago, we went to buy them because we were going to have guests over, a couple over for dinner, and I was going to cook ribeyes. That same package of meat was $84.
Wow.
$84. Now, I went back to Costco like a couple weeks ago, and that same package had dropped down to 72. So meat prices seem to be coming down.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that
Well,
accident, it's sad. A lot of cows died in vain that day.
that's
I
you're
mean,
absolutely. We don't buy meat in the store anymore, Chris. We buy like a half a cow and then we split
Yeah.
it with our kids.
Yeah.
It ends up I get ribeyes for about 360 a pound then, and all the steaks and roasts, and so that's the best thing for me anyway. I
yeah.
I,
We
I
have
can afford it.
a guy in our church who's raising a couple cattle that he's going to butcher, and it's just like, it's a self butchering thing, and it's just like,
Yep.
call us over. We'll come with knives, and we'll earn our supper, so to speak. I mean, for beef, Oh, and pastor appreciation. I got a quarter of a cow from one of our parishioners at pastor
Nice,
appreciation. Oh, very
nice.
nice. It was such a good thing.
Yeah. And
I
so here's
I got
that's a really good thing that you do that, because I was reading an article the other day that hamburger that we buy like in the grocery store,
Mhm.
it's not hamburger from one cow. It's like all dumped in from a whole bunch of different cows.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
And
read that too. Yeah.
yeah, and scientists have said that's not a healthy portion of meat, because you're not getting like the complete package of one specific cow. It's just
Yeah.
DNA, broken DNA
Well,
from
and if you do
all
that, then
different
don't you have the
cows.
ability to add synthetic crap into it then?
Probably.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
and we don't even know where it all comes from.
Mhm.
They just had to finally admit it. Yeah, we don't know really where all this meat came from that is in this hamburger package. So
Yeah.
Well,
We've
and
been doing that. We've been doing it for about two or 3 years, and we know the guy that raises it. We know what he feeds it.
Mhm.
We know that it's fresh, and you get exactly the cuts you want. It's
that it went
I
to an
tried.
Ivy League school and not a state school.
Yeah. And I got one thing to say. I'm really hurt.
What's
You just
that?
said when you have guests over, you go out and get the ribeyes. I get macaroni and cheese when I come to your house. So I I just found out where I rate now.
Yeah, that's
So
right. That's right.
uh,
You're lucky I didn't bring up cups of ramen noodles and say here. No, I'm kidding. All right, let's move on to the next story. A Michigan auto worker building a car lost his wallet in 2014. It was found this week under the hood of a Ford Edge at a Minnesota repair shop 11 years and 151,000 miles later. So I mean, what part of the inner workings of they probably had to take part of the motor apart or something, but then they found this guy's wallet.
yeah, you would have think as hot as that engine gets, it would have just completely messed that thing up.
Yeah.
Well, and it being a Ford, you know.
Eventually they were going to find it. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean,
Well,
the joke about the Ford F-150s. That half of them that were ever built are still on the road today, and the other half made it home.
you just offended a whole lot of people, man.
Hey, the Ford Chevy argument's been going on a long time. I race
Yeah, it
Chevys.
has.
We're GM. That's it. Sorry, not sorry. Friends don't let friends buy Fords. That's really should be everybody's mantra.
Yeah. But then doesn't that kind of make
Now
it,
there's a Ford person. I can't listen to these two anymore. Anyway, go ahead.
doesn't it kind of make you wonder though, what other things are in our cars that we don't really know about? I mean, how many people lost a finger on the assembly line and we're driving
Oh,
around?
And never buy a car that was made on Friday. How you know? I don't know. But
What?
they
Never.
always say never buy a car that was made on Friday because the attention to detail isn't quite there. Current world with robotics and stuff like that, the actual human element isn't quite what it used to be.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So
that
when
was the old thing.
when they found this wallet, they were able to obviously get identification and get everything out of it. Because it wasn't his. Was it still his car?
No, it wasn't even his car. He was an auto worker assembling this
Okay.
Ford Edge, and he lost his wallet and he couldn't figure out where it was. The car goes off the assembly line, goes to the dealership, gets purchased, driven for 11 years and 151,000 miles. Somebody takes it into a repair shop in Minnesota. They're taking some stuff out of the engine. All of a sudden, they find this guy's wallet.
Yeah, that blows my mind
I
because
know.
you drive that car and it gets hot as can be,
Yeah.
and Ford people can't afford if he was working at Ford, he couldn't afford a real leather wallet. So you probably I just can't believe they could identify him even.
It was probably inside the oil pan for all we.
Wow.
I mean, we have no idea how. I'm very curious as to the specifics as to
Yeah.
where it was found. But to me, little stories like this always remind me of spiritual principles. You know,
Like the parable of the lost wallet.
well, yeah, the parable of the
Yeah.
lost wallet. I mean, you know, he lost it forever, but he didn't. The person is not lost forever. There always is a chance for no matter who they are to come and find Jesus. Whenever something this obscurely lost item, it always reminds me of that.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. That's
Very cool.
That's my spirit.
I'm glad that he got his wallet back. I bet he was just floored
Yeah,
when he found out. Because 2014, that would have been like 10 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
If he's even still working there, who knows?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Hey, there is a viral video out there right now that you can go check out about two food influencers. I don't know whether they're TikTokers or obviously social media, they do food, very nice plate of, bunch of different foods in front of them. And you can just tell because of the video when they first start talking, these are two likable, compelling people. You know what I mean? I don't know if they have a relationship or not, but they are going to start sampling this food. And a car crashes right into the window that they're sitting next to. Did you see that, Gary?
I saw a brief clip of it just really quick that it
Yeah.
looked like I don't know how they survived.
Yeah, it sprayed them with glass and as they were trying to eat. The car didn't come all the way through, though. That was the thing. The car came about 3.5, 4 feet in, and it just pushed their table and pushed them. But, I mean, talk about a brush with death. I mean, with glass shards and everything. They turned out to be fine. You know, I'm not going to say not a scratch on them, but, they were doing interviews about it, and so they turned out to be fine. But it just shows you how quickly life can change on a
Yep.
dime. You're sitting there filming, and it was obviously just the way the food was plated in front of them. If you get a chance to see this video, any of you listening or watching, look at how nice the food is plated in front of them. This was a nice place they were reviewing, and I think whoever they are, I think they're probably talented food critics. But just like that, life can change. Just like that, you're standing in front of Jesus in the next 10 minutes. That's what it made me think of. And then it made me think of something else. And I'll bring this up and get both your guys' response to this.
Okay.
Is that I saw there was a false teacher who has passed away. But before he passed away, he said he had a vision of God and that he was brought into the throne room. And he was asked one question. And that question was, did you learn to love? And everybody's like, oh, that's so deep. And it's like, no, there's only going to be one question asked at Judgment Day, and that is, what did you do with my son, Jesus Christ? Does Jesus know you? Does he claim you as his own? Is he, Gary, what do you take from that when you hear people being taught love as if it's a replacement for Jesus?
We had one of the biggest churches and one of the biggest false prophets that ever lived right in this area. And he ran a church called Mars Hill, and his name was Rob Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Name a name, and,
Yeah.
and his big
Yeah.
thing at his church was love wins.
Yep.
Mhm.
And he printed bumper stickers. We printed up bumper stickers that said Jesus wins, because yes, God is love, but he is equally a God of justice and righteousness, and a God who is holy. And whenever I hear anybody go off the deep end of love, I'm going to listen real careful, because if it doesn't follow up with some other things, then I'm concerned about their teaching. Obviously, I don't know who you're talking about, but he was wacko,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't go before God, and God wouldn't ask him that question.
I love that
And
point. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so he lied. I mean, we know he lied, or the Bible's not true. Is really
Yeah.
what it comes down to, and I'm going to choose the Bible. Emilee, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are I actually just saw something very similar this morning as I was trying to wake up and scrolling through my social media to do so.
Because that's what Jesus wants, is for us to wake and scroll.
And I think
Yes.
it was a post with regard to President Trump's recent comments that he hoped he was going to get into heaven, and if he could broker this peace deal between Russia and the Ukraine, that maybe that would work in his favor. I don't know exactly the words he said. I've heard him, but anyway,
I have them.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Go ahead and read it.
I
Yeah.
want to try and get to heaven, and if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons.
Uh,
And then the comment on this post was his spiritual advisory group is doing a very poor job if that's what he really said. John 3:3 and John 3:16 should be explained to him. It certainly won't be a Nobel Peace Prize that does the job
yeah,
of getting into
exactly.
heaven.
Exactly. But one of the comments that I saw in one of the posts about this was very similar, Chris, to what you were saying, that no, it doesn't, that's not what matters. It's all about a relationship and how much did we love. And I'm like, it's not about that at all.
No, not.
Not about that at all. In fact, everyone already has a relationship with God. Satan has a relationship with God. He knows who God is. He knows who Jesus is. We all have relationship to one another. Let me give you an example. There's an apartment building across the street. People move in and out very quickly. And so I don't know any of those people really personally, but I've seen them, wave to them, whatever. My relationship to those people is I live across the street from them.
And that's it.
Yeah, you have a relationship with God already. So when I hear that statement that it's about having a relationship, I always say, if I have the opportunity, I'd take it one step further. It's about having a reconciled relationship with God through Christ Jesus our Lord. That's what it's about. And so to end with relationship and how much did we love, that really misses the point, and it really misses the gospel of Jesus Christ and what he did in order to reconcile us to God himself. In fact, I heard someone, I don't remember who it was, words to the effect, they said that when you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I have a relationship with Jesus. I have a relationship with Jesus." Oftentimes, maybe not always, but oftentimes it's a Jesus of their own creation.
Mhm.
Therefore, they have a relationship with themselves. That's what the relationship
And a lot of
is.
times people are talking about their own conscience when they say the Holy Spirit told me this, the Holy Spirit told me that.
Right.
Gary, your take.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm disappointed that that's what he said. And if you quoted it, I'm sure that's what he said, because not only his spiritual advisors, but sometimes he'll say some pretty sound things that sounds like he's really understands what it means to be born again, and other times he's completely off in la la land. So
Mhm.
I have no idea personally. I have no idea where the president of the United States stands when it comes to Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and that's scary. But
Yeah.
I got to tell you this: you can love all you want, but it doesn't count until after you're saved.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
I'm
that's true.
sorry.
I
You
like
can
that.
love. There are people that can love each other and been married 40 years and they don't know Jesus Christ as their personal Savior. They've never been cleansed by the blood of Christ.
Yeah.
That love doesn't count. It counts
Mm.
between the two of them. But
Yeah.
the only time love counts with human beings is after we become born again.
Yeah.
Then, then it means something.
Yeah.
You know, I have not gone back and looked at the news article with Trump. I guess my initial leaning is that he was kind of joking around.
Well, yeah,
You know, like,
it
hey,
was
this is
off.
so good, it might get me into heaven, ha ha ha. And it was an off the cuff Trumpism, you
Yeah.
know. But if that's
Yeah.
his theology, he does have Paula White as his spiritual advisor. So, in my opinion, she's as false teacher as they get. But
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
that's just
So,
me.
Gary, you make a really good point, because even in the scriptures, it tells us when Jesus is talking about, feeding your child, if they ask for, I don't remember what it is. If they ask for an egg, would you give them a snake or something like that? Even the heathen do that.
Ask for
Even
bread,
the
get a stone.
heathen will do that. And so you're absolutely right. There is a clear distinction of the human kind of what's the word, intuition or human nature to do what it normally does, versus a eyes opened right understanding of who we are and who God is, and learning his ways and learning how he loves. It's very different than human love. So yeah,
Well,
that's a really good point.
Chris and Adam, you guys have run into couples. I've run into couples who've been married 50 years and they don't know
Mhm.
Jesus, but they
Right.
love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My goodness, they love each other.
Yeah.
And
Love their kids.
at a wonderful human depth, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
divine love that type of love, and then loving each other as as Christ loved us, that's our responsibility.
Mhm.
That can't happen until we're born again.
Right.
It can't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I, I could not possibly know what love is or the way I'm supposed to love outside of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that
Yeah.
human beings don't love each other. I love my dog.
Yeah.
But that's not a divine love.
Right.
It's love is probably the most misused four-letter word in the American language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you brought up Rob Bell, and I just want to make it clear, and I want to get your response to this. I still think I did the right thing, but he's got a 10,000 person church in the community you live in the Grand Rapids, Michigan
He
Had.
area.
did have, yeah, a long time ago.
Had. At
Yeah.
that time, we had an incredibly huge audience on the morning show, a lot more than 10,000 people. And I called him, when Love Wins came out, I called him a heretic on the air. And I said, what he's doing is heretical. That makes him a heretic. We took so much backlash for that from people who called themselves Christians. And the support versus the backlash was very lopsided. A little bit of support. You shouldn't talk that way. That's not the way. You get more with honey than with vinegar. That's not loving for you to say that. You're trying to be a shock jock. I mean, we heard it all. And I stand by it to this day. And it caused us some suffering and pain. But I look at that as probably one of the greatest moments of my broadcasting career. It's not the best, but it's up there because I didn't want to say it, but it was obvious. And he was leading so many people around. You guys did the Jesus Wins bumper sticker because you wanted to fight back because it became just everybody was talking about it for like
Yeah.
30 or 40 days. And so on the Hot Morning Show, a lot of people listening, I say, this guy's a heretic. Well, what happened? That book and that stance, he ended up leaving his church. His church whittled. Are they even there anymore? I'm not in Michigan. I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
been.
still there. It's, I think, around 500-600 people, but it's still there.
Yeah,
Okay.
a sanctuary that used to hold 10,000 now has 500 people.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's probably a good thing.
maybe, I don't know. But
here's
Gary, I want your feedback. Should I have called him a heretic on the air?
I have, Chris, you've been a pastor at heart, and you've been a pastor for a long time. I believe that one of the responsibilities of pastors is to protect the sheep.
Mm.
And if you're in a position where you can be vocal, I had to say something. I lived in his community. And
Mhm.
yep, we had
I
people in our church. I had to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think you have a responsibility that when people are hook, line, and sinker listening to a guy who doesn't believe the Old Testament is real, listening
Mm.
to a guy who questions heaven, denies hell, when you're listening to a guy who theologically is way off the deep end,
Mhm.
if the people around don't say something, more people will walk right off that bridge.
And
Exactly.
he was the number one pastor in that community. And I'm not saying I was the number one radio personality, but pretty darn close at the time. And I felt like somebody had to say something, and I felt like it fell on my shoulders, and I said it. And I don't,
And here's the
and
thing,
Emilee, you were there. You backed me up. I mean, it was the Chris and Emilee show, so it ain't like you got away scot-free.
well, it kind of got my dander up because the book came out, Love Wins. I read the book and I was shocked. I was just shocked at what it said. And so I looked into more of his writings and more of the things that he had said. And I realized this guy, like you put it really well, Gary, he went off the deep end. This is not theologically sound. Now, it was more than just screaming heretic into a microphone. We did
Yeah, it was different.
we did talk about why. Why is this off base? Why is this not in line with God's word and took people to God's word?
Well, and some of his Noom videos or whatever they were called weren't
Mhm.
that bad. They weren't that off base. I mean, you could start to see
Yeah.
it, but I mean, if Love Wins exposed his past teachings where you could now go back and see the holes. But it wasn't
Yeah.
until Love Wins that really separated everything. And that's the point when it comes to false teachings. That's the point when you think about these two influencers who almost lost their life, just in a weird spot sitting next to a window
Mhm.
at a high-end restaurant. We could be in front of Jesus in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We don't know.
Yeah.
But on the same token, we have the time we have right now to proclaim the truth. And we try to speak out with love. I didn't think I did anything unloving. I just thought that the fact that so many people took it that way was a sign of the times. And here we are now, what is it, 12 years later?
Mm-hmm.
It's 12 years later. Here we are, and we are still in a spot where people don't want to deal with sound truth, and they don't think that Christians should have a backbone, and that the loving thing to do is just to be tolerant and acceptance of everything. Gary, you got the final thought on this.
Well, I'm glad Paul didn't think that when he wrote First and Second Corinthians.
Yeah.
He wrote 2 books to a church that was really starting to go off in directions it shouldn't go, and he
Yeah.
loved them enough. And
Mhm.
believe me, he loved them. He called them. He never stopped calling them believers, never once. But he cared enough to say, "You're doing that wrong. Hey,
Mhm.
if you continue to do this, it's going to damage the cause of Christ." If men and women who know the truth, and the truth is the scriptures, not Gary's opinion or Chris's or Emilee's opinion, the truth is the scriptures, and we don't say anything, I believe we're going to be held accountable for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather answer to someone being mad at me because I said something than to stand and look in Jesus' eyes and have him disappointed in me.
Because you didn't say anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I always tell
Gary,
people,
Gary, yeah.
I
You had a
always tell
pulpit, Gary. Why don't you use it?
I always tell people that, when they talk about, some harsh things, some harsh truths. Again, I try to take some of the edge off, but I'm a very verbal bottom line guy, and that served me well in radio, that served me well in comedy and a lot of the other things. Even as a guest preacher, that can serve you well. But as a pastor, you've got to have a more gentler approach, and you got to find that. And so when you are sharing things with people and you're being harsh and you're being firm, I always say, look, if we're standing in front of Jesus and you're there, he's going to do one of 2 things. He's going to look at you and say, he told you, why didn't you listen? Or he's going to look at me and say, you knew, why didn't you tell them? And
Yep.
that's kind of how I approach it. And so I've got to tell them what's real. And so part of it is, being self-depreciating, not taking yourself so seriously, and being, just being willing to be an instrument used by the Lord.
Yeah. I think that
Criticism's a part of life.
yeah.
It's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
And if you're in a place that is a visible place of leadership, or a visible place where you guys had a public forum, criticism's going to come, and either you get a little tough skin and go along with it, and it may even cost you, but I'd much rather have it cost me because I did the right thing than cost me because I did the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
for
that's true.
me personally, this is why when I'm studying God's word, or I'm going to do something, outside of scripture to try to get an understanding, I'm rereading the Confessions of St. Augustine again. It's absolutely amazing. But I like to go to the dead guys. And the reason I like to go to the dead guys is like
What's
they
that say
don't
about you, Chris?
I know. I know.
they don't run the risk of going off the deep end, right? And
Yep.
so I love that, because look at where Rob Bell is now. The test of time. Have you guys seen what he's doing or
You
where
showed
he
me one
is?
thing like 2 years ago, and I could only watch it for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't give any more of my time to this.
Because he used to be schmoozing with Oprah and just he was going gangbusters. Now I think he's really receded into just doing art. He's like painting, I guess. And he puts out little videos periodically about it. And he'll talk, and it's utter nonsense. Like his brain, I think, is gone, because you can't follow. It's not. What's the word? It's not.
Coherent.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
not
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 clear.
coherent.
coherent. Exactly, that's the word.
Yeah.
And so I feel bad for him.
Well,
I really,
I
really
think
do.
Rob has fallen into the idea of this eclectic, cool guy, everything.
Yeah.
And just his sets that he has where he's trying to shoot these videos, and he's only getting 300 or 400 views. And I mean, Rob Bell, is, a multimillionaire because of
In
his
his
book sales
heyday.
and whatnot. So he's still living off that. He doesn't
Yeah,
need to
lots
do
of-
anything. So he's bored. So he's doing, but he still tries to have all of this eclectic art and this, he wants to be known as the deep guy who can see stuff that you just can't see. And he's the sensei, it's just stupid.
So basically, he's kind of continued down the same path, and this is where it's led to a place where, like, you really, the average person is just like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah,
But
well, it's almost judgmental. It's almost like God judged the
he doesn't let things go on forever, right?
yeah, he judged him in real time, and now he's actually living it out. I don't think Rob Bell will ever have an audience
Come
again.
back.
I
Yeah.
hope not. I
Yeah.
mean, unless he comes fully repentant and comes back as but
Hopefully.
anyway.
Yeah.
That's
all right. Any other
I'll shut
news stories? Any
no,
other
that's
headlines?
that's it for news and views here on No Apology with Emilee and Chris. And just like what we were talking about with Rob Bell, we expose things without apology. We do it hat in hand. We don't try to, when people are down, we don't try to kick them. When people are up, we don't try to tear them off a pedestal. We're not trying to be any of that. We're just trying to be the truth of God's word.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary, you've been alongside us for part of that journey. You now, you're basically kind of retired, but you're like that old detective cop. Once you get out, they drag you right back in because now you've actually joined another little church as kind of an associate elder
Yeah.
pastor guy. And
Yeah.
how's that been going?
Good. I'm the calling and counseling pastor. I do all the counseling in the church. If there's premarital counseling, if there's uh, marriage counseling, anything that has to do with that, that's my responsibility. And then it's my
Okay.
responsibility to do the calling on the congregation or visit hospitals. That's kind of that. And I'm starting in October to train 4 or 5 guys to become elders and deacons. There's been no training
Wonderful.
there. And so, yeah, I'm loving what I'm doing. And it's a lot of fun, and it's supposed to be 18 to 20 hours a week. I'm waiting for that to happen, but we'll see.
In pastor talk, that's full time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because 18 to 20 hours literally is sometimes up to 50. And there's so many little things that if you were an attorney billing your time, as a pastor, you could bill 70 to 80 hours a week. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I've done that. So from January 1st, when we started this new year, and then we quit July 4th weekend, I kept track of how many days off I had in that period of time. When I mean days off where my phone didn't ring, there was no text messages, there was no meeting that had to come up that interrupted it. I didn't have to run to the church and unlock the door for somebody or anything. And on July 4th, I had 3 days during this calendar year. And
Wow.
that gets to you after a while. And so we try to claim, look, this is just a lifestyle. We don't have kids at home. We don't get to see our grandkids, but once a year if we're lucky. We have 2 dogs, and we asked God if we could live a quiet life in rural America, and he sent us here. And so he's answered our prayer. So it's really not that big of a deal on one hand, but on the other hand, it's a commitment that is an eternal commitment. You're working for a higher purpose than just a position or a paycheck or a career or anything like that. It's got to be a different deal. And so that's something that you talked about. I don't know if you said it on air or off air when we were first getting going. You're mentoring some other pastors. I know that you're one of the guys I get to call and just whine for a half an hour.
Thank you, by the way, Gary. I'm so glad
You're
he has
welcome,
someone
Al. I
else.
gave you a break. Yeah.
But so
Chris,
tell us a little about pastor mentoring and what we're seeing in modern 2025. Is it different than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
Oh yeah, way different.
Mm.
Seminaries, Bible colleges, most of them they're not graduating shepherds. They're graduating a preacher, they're graduating an administrator, they're graduating a mission guy, they're graduating a worship guy. And most churches, 90% of the churches in this country are less than 100 people. So when you go out there, you gotta do a little bit of everything. And one of the things that I see just greatly missing in churches is guys that can be shepherds and understand what that means. And uh, we celebrate and we talk about the good shepherd, the great shepherd in Jesus Christ. And those of us who have been called to ministry need to understand that aspect. Preaching's maybe 20% of the game. And Chris, I'm going to admonish you. Stand by. I'm going to admonish him. You need to take more time off. Jesus took time off. He knew how important it was. That's there's no such thing of burning out for Jesus or
No, but I
rusting
mean,
out for
and again, I
Jesus.
don't want it to sound like it's this overwhelming thing, but
No.
I mean, if somebody sends me a text message on my day off, that then eliminates that as being a full day off. And
Then you
it's
need to change the culture.
I
You
know,
need
no,
to change
no,
the
no,
culture of your
no.
church.
It's a lifestyle. It's a text message. Who cares? So it's just yeah.
You're getting
I
in
disagree with
trouble.
you.
You're
Yeah, I
digging a
disagree with you.
hole deeper there,
Oh.
dear.
Chris, it used to be I would have to, every 3 months get up from the pulpit and say, listen, on Sunday morning, I'm here to worship too. Don't come talk
Mhm.
to me about your problems. You got all week.
Yeah,
Sunday's worship. You don't go bother the dentist on Sunday. You can make an appointment. You don't go
Right.
up. We're here to worship on Sunday. Chris, there's nothing wrong with teaching a church family this day or these 2 days a week. I need those for me so that I can be better
Mhm.
for you.
right,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned not just you, the young guys I talk to. They're younger than we are. They got more energy. They've got, they're in their 20s and 30s,
yeah,
and we're not.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I've learned over the time that if I don't, it's my fault. Ed Dobson, do you remember Ed Dobson from
Yeah.
Calvary and
Mhm.
Ed Dobson, he was in Grand Rapids, and he and I got together on occasion. And I met him at Calvary one day for lunch. And we're walking down one of the halls, and there's pictures on the wall, big, huge oil paintings, and they're of every pastor that ever pastored there.
Okay.
And we got to the end, and there was his. And I went, wow, that's really something. And he goes, yeah, but I want you to take a look. What else do you see? I said, I don't know. I said, do you see how much more room there is for more down this
Mhm.
hall?
Mhm.
He said, if you don't take care of you, there'll always be another pitcher. There'll always be another pastor. But he
Mhm.
said, Gary, if you don't take care of you, nobody else will.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not selfish and it's not self-centered.
I
It's
just I just shared with my church board on Monday, um, and I didn't use Ed Dobson's name because I just, again, sometimes using names, it's not important. You can't get hung up on who said it, but he's the one who actually said it, and it was from an article from another Grand Rapids pastor who publishes these articles, and I'm on his email list, and he talked about what do you need to really be faithful to Jesus and grow a church? What do you need? And he answered this. He said, preach the word, love people, and guard your heart.
Mm.
And then the guy wrote it all down. And then he asked Ed again, he said, and so what else? What else? And Ed just shrugged and said, in like Yoda like wisdom, that's all there is. That's it. Preach the word, love people, and guard your heart. So, and what you're saying is, and in guard your heart, you got to guard, some of your off time. And this is not a demanding congregation I serve at all. There's a lot of flexibility, and I get plenty of time every week to prepare the very best spiritual food for them. And so
good.
we've got a really good thing going. So I didn't want that to be completely negative, other than the fact that it just never seems to completely end. And I don't want to be one of those guys who sticks my phone on the shelf and blocks out somebody who might need me. I would much rather interrupt my day off to help somebody in need than to just have a day off. But after a while, you do need to have like a set time to,
Yeah.
to refresh. And another friend of mine, another pastor friend of mine, Labor Day will be the last day of his 90-day sabbatical.
Mm.
He was given a sabbatical over the summer to recharge his batteries, write a little bit, basically spend time with God and just exhale. And the church made it to where do not call him, do not text him,
Mhm.
act like he's not even alive anymore for the
Right.
next 60 days or 90 days. What do you think about like 60 and 90-day sabbaticals? Did you ever get one in your 40-year ministry?
Well, I had to write a sabbatical policy at Georgetown, and ours is much shorter. Every 7 years, you get 30 days.
Mm.
And that's any staff member. Every 7 years, you get 30 days. And during those 30 days, no contact at church. You couldn't attend church.
Mm.
You had to go somewhere else. They would pay for 1 week of a seminar if we wanted to go to a seminar or just a place to chill. During that 30 days, they would give us those funds were available. They gave
Jamaican
us
all
that.
inclusive?
But I have to tell you, Chris, after those 30 days, I came back a better pastor, a
Mm.
better
Yeah,
shepherd.
yeah,
Yeah.
And churches need to understand that's a great investment. I know your people. They're great people. They love you. They
yeah.
don't want to burn you out. The problem isn't your church family. The problem is sitting on the other side of the mic there and understanding how important that
Yeah.
is for you to be able to say, hey, outside of somebody dying on Monday, it's my day.
Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah,
my
I don't
day.
use I like Mondays. I like working Mondays because I after Sunday and talking to people and stuff.
He's fresh.
I do my best work
His
on Monday.
brain
Tuesday.
is going.
Fridays has been my day off, and it's been difficult to, and Saturdays is kind of a free for all, but it's all good, man. I mean, like I say, I've got a really good calling. I've got a really good church, and it's Jesus's church, and that was part of my message the other week. And so, any final thoughts you want to leave with us that doesn't have to do with correcting me about anything?
Sorry. Well,
I was going to say, feel free to continue, Gary.
you gave me a big leash. It's your problem.
I know.
You didn't
I
give
know.
anything specific. So
Laugh louder,
next
dig
time-
deeper, right?
Next
There's
time,
the
give me a
problem
muzzle.
right there. No,
Yeah.
I'm going the wrong way. Right there. There's the problem.
Again, it's truth, and I said it in love.
Yeah,
And
no, I don't mind. I'm joking.
You can do whatever you want with that, but you'll never look back and say I didn't work enough.
Mm-hmm.
You'll
Yeah.
never do that. You'll look back and say, I could have spent a little more time with them. I could have spent a little more time myself, just recharging. You'll look
Yeah.
back and do that, but you'll never look back and say, "Oh, I just should have done more for Jesus."
Right.
That's just not going to be the case.
Right.
And
Yeah.
just worried about you. That's all.
That's all good. All right, Garry Koon, our special guest, as we get ready to close out the show here today. And Emilee,
Yes.
take us home.
All right. Well, I just want to say that it's been a really good show. Thank you, everyone, for not attending. You didn't attend anything, but thank you for tuning in. I guess that's the phrase. We will be back again next week, and we hope to see you there as well. Tell your friends, tell your family, and stay strong in the Lord for the next week.